Welcome back to the Unbreakable Mindset podcast with me, your host, Jude Daunt. I have had a lovely little morning so far. I came in, it's cold and it's dark. It's Sunday, it's 7:20 in the morning. And I got to work, and the building where my office is shared by other businesses. And one of them is a little cafe downstairs, and it's a lovely cafe. It's run by a charity. The food's unbelievable. If you are in the Gosforth area, it's called Cafe Beam, and it's lovely. And that's not what I'm telling you that for. They've put up like a cute little garland around the front door with twinkly lights. When I was coming in this morning, oh, it totally made me smile when I came in. It's so cute. If you're thinking, God, that's early to be in on a Sunday, Jude, it's kind of normal. That, do you know, the benefit of having your own business is that you can choose your hours, and I am an early bird. I like to get in, get stuff done, especially for the day before the day starts. I love kind of like cracking on and getting admin-y stuff done before the main kind of the bulk of the day starts. Today, if you're interested, the day looks like I'm recording this podcast for you, and then as soon as I jump off this, I will be I'll be preparing for the Academy Live. We do a live in the Academy where the students are training to become coaches. We do a live every 2 weeks. We alternate between a Monday night and a Sunday morning to make sure that you can at least attend one. So I know the outline of what I want to cover in that session, but I need to prepare it and I need to get some slides ready. So do that as soon as I've recorded this. And then what else have I got? I've got 3 private coaching clients today. And what else? Oh, and I've got 3 consultation calls as well. So 3 people inquiring about the life coach certification. And then I was going to do some marking. Sunday's a really funny day. It's either super full on back to back, or it can be a day to get admin stuff done. Today is very much about it being busy, and I'll probably work tonight. But you know what? I have a fair bit of time off over Christmas, and it's lovely that I feel comfortable that I can do that. So that's lovely. I've got that week off in between Christmas and New Year, and then that second week, because I don't know what it's like in different parts of the world or the country, but my little one breaks up on the 22nd and he doesn't go back till the 8th. So that's quite late, isn't it, going back in January? So I am taking most of that second week off as well, and I'm only coming in on the Wednesday. So yes, but you know what? It's fine. It's like getting loads of stuff done now, and then it'll only be little bits and pieces that I'll do over the time off. So I'll figure out what I'm recording with the podcast and what you're going to hear, and I'll prepare you in advance if there's going to be gaps missing along the way. Okay, that's what my day looks like. I hope you are all having a lovely Sunday, whatever you're doing, and it's not too stressful where you're at. This episode, I've had loads of ideas of content that I wanted to run through with you. And I wrote, and honestly, as soon as an idea comes into my head, I'm really good, because being 42, perimenopausal, things leave my brain as soon as they come into it. So I'm really good, and I write notes down in my phone, and I'm really organized with it. And I've got quite a good few topics that I want to discuss with you, which might come out over the next few weeks. But I kind of scrapped them all today, because the one thing that I wanted to talk to you about was what a rubbish day I had the other day. On Monday. When was it? Where are we now? It was Sunday. Yes, it was Monday gone. It was a sloth hard day. You know, when everything just feels like an effort. And then one by one, it felt like there was these little explosions going off of like things just to make me feel worse. Right? And to be honest, can I remember them all? I can remember 3 of them, but I know there was more than that. I know there was more than that, because I was in a rotten old mood and I felt right sorry for myself. And I'll tell you more about that in a second. But the reason why I wanted to do this episode is because, do you know what? Even when you've done the work on yourself and you've got a really positive mindset, and you are quick to problem solve, and you've attacked your limiting beliefs and you feel good 99% of the time, there is going to be that 1% that's going to hit you and you're going to have a rubbish day. Like, and I say this to my clients, like I'm not preparing them for that every day is going to be butterflies and fairies and rainbows and magic, because actually, stuff happens, doesn't it? Stuff happens in our lives that derails us, that we have to be strong enough to cope. Now, I will say that on that Monday, the things that happened to me weren't devastating. None of them were debilitating or traumatic. It was just a series of things. And I could feel my mood getting pulled down bit by bit. And I was in a right funk with myself. Like even going to the gym, which I normally love doing and I feel good about it, I was still in a funk. And I had, do you know what? It took all day, but I did pull myself out of it. So I'll tell you a little bit about what happened in the day. So, because it's trivial stuff, but that is probably the reason why I wanted to get this episode out to you guys, because it doesn't have to be the biggest thing in your life to derail you. It can be all the little stuff, and it can be one of those days, where they all kind of happen. And to be fair, my mum used to go, it bloody comes in threes, doesn't it? Like proper negative, bless her. And to be fair, I think there was more than 3 things happened that day, but it did feel like, as I remember being at the gym and just got the gym, and my husband sent us a picture of, oh God, what was it? Something he'd spilt on the floor. I don't know whether he'd knocked some cereal out of the cupboard, and there was some sort of spillage. And I messaged him back and said, well, that sums up my day. And he went, it wasn't you that did it, it was me. But that's how miserable I was. And I hardly ever get like that. I really don't. But I was so sorry for myself. Now, the couple of things that I do remember off the top of my head that had happened was, I can remember 4 actually, right. There's a pair of glasses that I've ordered. Really, they're so gorgeous, these glasses, I can't tell you. And I had a few emails the week before from the company that I've ordered them from, and I ordered them online because for whatever reason over the years, I know I can get a bargain on frames. Like when you're going to pay like £260 at a high street opticians, I know I can get that for about 180 online, those frames. And then there's a lovely little place near me that's a little family company that do your lenses for you. And again, dead cheap. So where you'd pay on the high street, like again, probably 120 quid, they charge me like probably maximum £40 for lenses. So I know I can get them cheaper. Anyway, this company that I ordered from, it was a new one. I'd never ordered from there before. It was one of the main ones that came up when I was Googling this style of glasses. So I'm really bad. I go into the high street branches, I try them on, and then I take a picture of the style code, and then I put that in Google. And this company came up quite a few times. And do I say the company? No, it's pointless. Because I'm going to get an outcome that I desire. I know I am. I've changed my mind about it. But they had went back and forward. There's a delay on your frames, because their biggest thing was that they can turn it around in a week or something like that. And I kept getting emails saying there's a delay on your frames, blah, blah, blah. And then eventually they came back and they asked for me to confirm my prescription, which I'd already done. Oh, that was the other thing. They did the lenses really cheap. And I thought, oh God, actually, I might just get the lenses off them as well. So I'd put all my details in. And when they asked for my prescription, well, one, I couldn't find it. So then I had to go to the opticians, or I think I rang them or something to get it. Anyway, they emailed it over to me. I sent it over to them, and then I didn't hear anything. And then on the Sunday, I got an email off them saying they don't do those lenses. What would you like to do? And they gave us a list of options. And then within like an hour, they'd sent us another email saying, this is your status update of your order. Go online to check it. Well, it doesn't work. When you go online, it's a Spanish website. it's really glitchy. It ends up saying it all in Spanish. You try to copy it in English, it pops back. Anyway, it's a nightmare. So I don't know what they've updated my order to. And I sent them an email on the Sunday and I got no reply. I sent them another email on the Monday, and then I decided to go on Trustpilot and look at the reviews, and the reviews were not great, like really bad. Like most of them were like the 1 star, people complaining how bad they are with customer service, how the orders turned up late and all this type of thing. And I was thinking, oh God, like this is a bit of a nightmare. And I think I've paid about £260 for the frames and the lenses. And I don't have these new glasses. And I was thinking, oh God, I've been absolutely swindled by them. Like, I don't even think they're definitely a company, and it did look like people were receiving glasses. But in my head, right, I've been duped by them. Like I shouldn't have bought off them. And I'm beating myself up a little bit in my head as I'm reading all these reviews, thinking, why didn't I check the reviews first? Anyways, that was part one. Then part two, I'm conscious of how much I say because this is my daughter's life as well. But my daughter had rang. She's been having an issue with her phone because she dropped it. And the screen's been going off and on. And then she'd rang us and she'd messaged us first off her friend's Instagram when she was at college saying, my phone's completely dying, but I'll be home at 3 or something like that. And then she rang me. Oh, sorry, it was an alarm on my phone. She rang me at about lunchtime and she was like, well, did you get my message? And I went, yeah. And she was like, well, my phone's broken. And I was like, right. And she was like, right, well, I'm just going to go to my dad's. And I was like, well, why are you going to your dad's? Well, because he'll sort it, won't he? And I was like, right. And then I got off the phone. So to put in context, right, because everyone has a different perspective on a conversation. My perspective on this conversation, where I was coming at it was, right, well, her phone's not broken. She's expecting me to get it fixed for her. And I'm still annoyed that she hasn't got a job, right? Because I had a job from the age of 15, probably younger, because I worked on my friend's dad's hot dog van. So I was working from a young age, always earning my own money. So I was kind of disappointed that she's not made the effort. Now, we did get her a job over the 6 weeks when she finished her GCSEs, which was brilliant. Like, she worked for my husband. She did a good kind of like 5 weeks solid before we went on holiday, and she earned a fair little bit of money, and she's really good at saving. So there's the positives, right? I'm pulling out the positives. But since then, she's not been bothered. She's been living the college life. She's been, still living off the money that she earned in those 6 weeks, but also she gets money off people for going on holiday. Like, her dad will give her a bit of money to go on holiday with grandparents. Well, and she never spends it. There's nothing, we go to a really remote little village in Italy. There's no really anywhere to spend her money. So she's living off that. She's living off savings, essentially, and birthday money and Christmas money, what have you. And she's starting to run out, and it's I know this, the conversations. I've been waiting for a conversation where she's going to be wanting something off me, and I'm going to say no, because I think she should have a job and pay for it herself. And this was the day. This was the day when the conversation was going to happen. And one, I hate confrontation. Two, I don't like falling out with my daughter. And three, there's part of me then goes, well, am I handling it right? And as a parent, you do, like, you question yourself all the time. Am I doing this the right way? Should I be talking in this way? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? And you're kind of looking at your behavior all the time as well, and seeing if there's any way you could have reacted differently and things like that. And obviously I've then got the whole, she can just run to her dad and he'll do it, and he doesn't have any money, but he'll figure it out for her, like, and he'll get it fixed, and he'll be the knight in shining armor, because he doesn't realize that I'm trying to put in these boundaries with her. So, and she can get her own way with her dad. So there's all that going on, right? So number one was the glasses. Number two was my daughter with the phone, knowing that all of this crap was coming with the phone. And then three, what was the third thing? Oh, so three was I parked in a Waitrose. So for people outside the UK, Waitrose is a little supermarket, and they only have really small supermarkets, and they're normally in like affluent villages. And I don't know why I'm telling you that bit, but I went out for food with my friend to a little village up from us in Ponteland, and there's very few places to park around there, but it was a Sunday night and Waitrose was closed, so I just parked in the Waitrose car park. And when I got back from London the other week, I had a letter come through the post saying that I have a parking fine for parking in that car park, even though it was closed. Can I just point out, even though Waitrose was closed, apparently you're not allowed to park there, which is ridiculous. Like, why just, close the barriers if you don't want people to park there? But, clearly it's a money-making thing for them, and it's a company that they've hired to fine people for parking there. So that was £95, I think, the fine. But if you paid it within 14 days, it was reduced to, I don't know, £45, £50 or something. But they hadn't sent it to me within the 14 days. So the 14 days had already expired by the time I got the letter. And I'd been trying to get a hold of them and sort it out. And I sent them, I think you can go online, and it's obviously they've made it harder for you. You can try and appeal it. That's the word I was looking for. You can try and appeal it and go down that route. So I have appealed it, saying like, I'm willing to pay it, but I still want to be able to pay it at the 14 days, which it wasn't available to me because the letter arrived too late. So we'll see where that goes. But then on the Monday, I had another letter through that I think must have been on its way. Like, it must have been automatic that it's come out while I've appealed it. Because I think when you appeal it, it stops the process until they sort out the appeal. But I had another letter saying it was a final demand for this payment. That doesn't make me feel good, because that makes me feel like I'm doing something wrong, and that doesn't sit with me at all. So that was number 3. Although, wait a minute, we'll come back to that. So that was number 3, and then number 4, I went into the bathroom in the house, the ensuite, and there was some water on the floor. And in my head, I thought, oh God, my son, he must have been washing his hands and he spilled water on the floor, until I looked up and realised there was a leak in the ensuite bathroom. Now, when we first moved in, every so often we'd have a leak in our bedroom and ensuite, and it took 5 years and a solicitor's letter and complaints, because the company who built our house went AWOL, stopped responding. Like, we eventually got it sorted and figured out where the leak was coming from. So to then have this coming back, I'm like, oh God. And it's in a different place to where it's been before. And it's just a bit of it's one of those things, isn't it? Like, nobody wants to see water coming through and the paint bubbling and flaking, and God, has it been wet in the northeast the last few weeks. So for a full week now, it's still leaking. There's still a bowl there. Right. So I've got my moans out the way. They were the 4 things that I can remember. There was probably other things. But honest to God, all of those things on top of each other just made me feel so miserable. And by the time I got to the gym and my husband had sent that text with whatever he'd spilt, and me going, well, that sums up my day. And then him saying, well, that happened to me. That wasn't you. You didn't do that. And he was being nice. Like, he was meaning, that wasn't your fault. But my interpretation was miserable. And I was in such a funk. And then I did my workout routine, and luckily that, snaps us out of anything, because I'm focused on something else. I'm focused on the weights that I'm lifting. I'm focused on an episode of The Crown that I'm watching while I'm doing it. My head's elsewhere. So while my head was elsewhere, and then I came and I remember going to my locker and getting my stuff out, and then thinking, right, you need to switch this up a little bit, because whatever's happening today doesn't need to be what happens tomorrow. And I had a word with myself, and I was thinking, right, how can I switch this around? Well, first of all, so this is where it comes in. So this is where I want you to listen, take notes if you need to, because we can all have a bad day. But the worst thing that we can do is to unpack and stay in that discomfort, right? And when you've done the work on yourself, and my clients and the students will be testament to this as well, that when you've done the work on yourself and you get to a good place and you feel that real high of like that 8 or 9 sweet spot, you never want to go back to anything lower than that. So you'll do the work to unpick it. But sometimes, episode after episode of a rubbish day, you don't get the chance to kind of pull back and see the wood for the trees. So luckily that the me going to the gym was almost like me breaking state, and that wasn't intentional. That was just that's what happened, because I was in a different space emotionally, physically, and I'm in a different space as well. So that allowed me to break state. And breaking state is just when you break your emotional state as to where you're at. Now, that could happen whether you're in a positive state or a negative state. So for me, it got me to go, right, I don't want to have a day like this. And you know what? It was one bad day. It doesn't have to amount to 2 bad days or a bad week. It doesn't even have to amount to me feeling bad when I get home from the gym. So although the journey from the gym to the house is very short, probably could walk it actually, but I take the car, I was able to kind of have a word with myself on the journey home. And the things that I were going through my head was, right, let's unpack it all. So going through each thing. So let's start off with the glasses. Now the glasses, at that moment, I just thought, you know what? I paid with PayPal. Like, I'll be able to get my money back. Like, this isn't a big deal, Jude. And you're not desperate for these glasses. You have 2 other pairs of glasses, which are absolutely fine that you can see out of. So there was one. I've just extinguished that. Number 2 with my daughter, at that moment was out of my control because she decided to stay at her dad's that night, the saviour. And I just thought, right, well, do you know what? I'll figure it out. When she comes back tomorrow, I'll have a better conversation with her because I didn't have a good conversation with her. And I'll figure it out. But maybe this is the catalyst for her realizing that, you know, I'm not always going to be there. Like, God, my mom didn't even pay for my phone bill. Like, you know, and I paid for everything for myself at that age and she does it. Anyway, coming back to it. This is, you know, it was going to be uncomfortable because this is a lesson that she needs to learn, and lessons are uncomfortable. But I need to make sure I'm managing my emotions in the right way so that I don't make it worse, but she gets to see the lesson. So that was step 2. Nothing I could do about it, but I could have a conversation with myself about it. Step 3 was, again, the leak. What do I know about leaks? Because we've had them before. That actually, they do get fixed. And even when you've got now a damp patch in the roof, it'll get fixed. It'll get plastered over. It's not a big deal. It's not affecting my warmth in the house. It's not affecting. It shouldn't affect my mood, first of all. And we'll get it sorted. Whatever. We'll get it sorted. And the parking fine, again, worst case scenario, what? I'm going to pay £95. Right. It's not ideal. And it is a bit rubbish, but it's one of those things. There's nothing I can do about it. I've learned never to park there again. And I would just advise everyone else, be careful when you park in places to look at the fine print on those. Because there would have been, like, you know, I'm sure if I was inclined, I could drive back up and there will be fine print somewhere on a board up in that car park that says if you're parking in the hours of X, Y, and Z, or if you're not is it a patron, like where you're actually going and shopping, then you will be charged. So all of those things, they're not a big deal, are they? But all of them together can pull us under. So if you're having a bad day, I want you to take a moment and a deep breath. If you're having a bad week or you're having a bad month, right, you need to break state and start to unpack it all. Because individually, all of these things are manageable and I can cope, but I don't want to just manage and cope. I want to thrive every day. But I have to acknowledge, you know what, some days I might have a bad day, but as long as I don't unpack and sit there, I'm going to be fine. And I can change my attitude. And there was something that there was a client through the week had done a voice note to me. There was something going on externally, family things that were going on. I'm trying not to say too much about it. So there was stuff going on for her, but essentially it wasn't really affecting her. It was affecting someone else. It also wasn't going to dampen the thing that she was trying to organize, but she was getting caught up in the drama or the injustice of what this other person was doing. And again, we can get pulled aside by the actions or the things that are going on in our life and it make us feel bad. But as I've said many times before, if we do that, then that's on us. What we need to start doing is recognizing that we have control over this. We have control over our emotions and our feelings. And sometimes it's okay to sit in the discomfort for a little bit and allow ourselves to feel a bit rubbish. You know what? I've had a bad day. But if you want to change that, you have to change your perspective on it. Nelly didn't get that word out. You have to change your perspective on it and start to look at unpacking them all individually. And then looking at, right, what do I have control over? What actions can I take? What can I work on? Or how can I reframe the situation so I think differently about it? Okay. Have an amazing week, everyone. I'll definitely be back next week with another episode and I'll let you know what's going to happen for the Christmas period and what I'll be putting out. But for now, try not to let the craziness of this month overwhelm you and make you crumble. Most of the time, Christmas is just 1 or 2 days, and that's all we're working towards, and they're over in a flash. So be kind to yourself. Definitely, like that is the first person that you need